That's a really good question. Honestly, I think that it's when you think about it, you don't really fight with your friends like that. It's usually your best friend that you're fighting with like that. So I just remember sitting there and trying to stay in character, but also trying not to laugh. I started watching it, Welcome to Derry, a little bit. I didn't get that far into it, but I'm gonna keep going because it's really good. And so I did meet her briefly. So that was very cool. It was so many people and so many different cameras, so many different jobs that I didn't even know existed, honestly. How excited I was, not just to be there because it was a huge show, but also just really how excited I was to do the acting part of it.
Hello everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to Season 2 of Once and Always a Fanboy. Joining us today is a rising star you all need to know. She's the actress who brought Tina Turnbow to life in Stranger Things Season 5, a character who's been hinted at in the past but only in name until now. And yes, she's the reason we all laughed, gasped, and couldn't stop talking about that unforgettable viral scene. What a perfect way to start the year. Fangirls and fanboys, Elle Abrams, welcome!
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to meet with you today.
So, Tina is a character we heard about years before we ever met her. When you first stepped into the role, what was the first choice you made to figure out who Tina was?
I think probably basing it off of Erica's role and how she's grown, because obviously when Tina's mentioned, we don't know a lot about her, so I think that was the fun part. I could really make it my own. But I think Erica's such a fun character, and that's probably why the scene, ended up so good, because the fans, they love her and they love anything related to her. So, yeah, I think the choices I made, I really wanted to make it very grounded in the scene and think about the fact that her age, she's only 13. This is a very middle school, girl problem. So I really wanted to kind of think back to when I was that age and kind of take it. I kind of was that age, but a little bit younger.
Tina could have been written as a full mean girl, but she feels more controlled and grounded, as you said. How much of that came from the page and how much came from your instincts?
A lot of it did come from the writing, but yeah, I definitely get what you're saying, that the script, it could have, you could have taken it in a different way where you play her more mean. But I think just thinking to how a middle school girl would react, I think it's more so less about, being mean and wanting to get back at Erica. But I think it's more about her being hurt, with the whole thing with Josh. So I think I came at it from a more emotional perspective rather than like anger or trying to be mean or trying to be cool, so.
So because Erica and Tina already had so much history, how did you fill in the blanks of their friendship when you were getting into character? Were you imagining what scenarios they could have gone throughout the years to have that friendship and all that, just making that history up for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I think they definitely probably, have had that friendship for at least a few years for sure, because she was mentioned as if she was her best friend, and that was in season 3 when she was a few years younger. So, yeah, I kind of thought about it and how they probably have been friends for years. And I think that's what made the scene feel, very real, because when you think about it, you don't really fight with your friends like that. It's usually your best friend that you're fighting with like that. So, yeah, I kind of thought about that definitely when I was reading the script.
As I said before, you had one of the more iconic scenes from the entire run
Thank
of
you so
Stranger
much.
Things. So when you look back on filming that scene now, what's the detail you remember the most? Something only you would remember from being there?
Yeah, I think honestly, I remember when we were shooting that scene, I had known Jake who plays Derek, for quite a bit because we had done school together and, all that. We had known each other for a week or a few weeks. And Priya I had known for about a week. So we had really gotten to know each other pretty well, at least for a week. So that really helped. But when we were shooting the actual scene, I remember we were doing the needle and Priya was holding it and they asked me to just sit right across from her for eye line. And I really wanted to stay in character for her because she had done that for me when I was, when it was my coverage. So I remember that very vividly because I was sitting in because the camera was huge. It was a humongous camera with so many people surrounding it. there was like this tight little corner right by the stairs where I was sitting, and they put like a little stool. So I just remember sitting there and trying to stay in character, but also trying not to laugh. So I think that was probably, a really memorable part of the scene.
That scene had a lot of elements. Like at the start, it was all fun. Of course, at the very end, it was kind of an intense scene, with the needle and stuff. That scene required a lot of, I guess, trust between the actors. What helped you feel safe and supported while filming something so intense?
Kind of as I said before, just the fact that, me, Jake, and Priya had kind of known each other at least for a little bit. So it really helped me feel more comfortable. And I think the same for them. Specifically, Priya, because it does take a lot of, we kind of have to have like that connection while we're doing that scene, especially with the needle, because you do really have to stay focused to help each other almost. But I think, she really did do that. She stayed very focused even when it was just my coverage. I did the same for her. And I think that kind of allowed us to stay in the zone. And even in between takes, we were laughing, whatever. But then, like, when the time came for us to be serious and to get back into that emotion of it, we really, like, allowed that. So that really definitely helped.
So you came from theater and commercials, which are very different muscles from Netflix scale television.
Yeah.
What habit from your early training actually helped you the most on a massive set like Stranger Things?
So I had done theater when I was little, and then I did, commercials all throughout my childhood, but, or I guess I'm still, but, and I did a movie back and a short film, but I did a movie where I was shooting for a long time, in Florida. And I think on that set, it was the first time that I really had to work super closely with another actor. So I definitely, that helped me a lot because it kind of, I guess, trained me, to really get into the scene and to be able to connect with your other actors. Um, so yeah, I think probably that. And I think I could take a little bit of the dramatics from theater because I think that kind of helped me in a way, because it was a very dramatic scene, obviously, and it's meant to be funny. So
Watching Stranger Things over the years, was there a character that inspired you as a viewer? And when you finally became part of the cast, did you get a chance to meet or work with them?
honestly, I think Erica's character, I was always super inspired by because I loved her character, especially because she was, around the same age as when I was watching the show. But I also think, this is a good question. I think probably Nancy because she's very kind of like, she's very cool, very like grounded in herself. And so I did meet her briefly. So that was very cool just to be able to, talk briefly with her.
So yeah, the set is famously secretive, right? Aside from your day on set, were you able to watch other actors' scenes, or was it like closed door, even for the people involved in the series?
It was for the most part, I think, pretty closed doors because honestly, when I wasn't shooting, I was either doing school fittings or I was back, on base camp as they call it. So I didn't have a chance to watch that many of the other scenes, but I did I guess kind of because when they were doing the bags over our head, when I was waiting to do mine, I kind of got to sneak and watch it. Derek, I don't remember who did the bag over his head, but I kind of watched that happen and play out. So that was cool.
So since my podcast is called Once and Always a Fanboy, I'm curious, what are you currently fangirling over at the moment, aside from obviously Stranger Things? Like, are you binge watching anything? Are you reading something? Are you listening to anything?
Well, I just watched the movie The Housemaid, which was terrifying. But I've been like obsessed with watching the edits on TikTok. But it was amazing. So that's my current, I think, obsession right now, and definitely fangirling over that whole movie and the whole cast. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. But there's so many shows that I watch for sure, just like all the time. I started watching it, Welcome to Derry a little bit. I didn't get that far into it, but I'm gonna keep going because it's really good. I watch a little bit of Percy Jackson. I watch a little bit of um, I just had the name. I forgot. But yeah, there's a lot of shows that I watch, honestly.
If you could drop, Tina into any other iconic fictional universe, where would she thrive and where would she absolutely fail? Like, as you said, Welcome to Derry, Wednesday, The Hunger Games, Harry
Yes.
Potter, you know.
I think she would absolutely fail in the Hunger Games. That's a good. I'm also excited for the new movie coming out this year, but I think she would absolutely fail there, or really any it Welcome to Derry, like all those places, because I don't think she's as, strong as she puts on. Um, but I think maybe she would thrive somewhere like, like a teen type of show. This is really random, but I was just watching a show called The Thundermans. They like rebooted it. And I think she could handle that, probably. There's like superheroes, but it's not like too tough. So I think maybe she could handle that for sure.
I think her scream, though, would pretty much be on point at Welcome to Derry.
Yes, true. She would react like that if she even walked into that place, but yeah.
What's one thing on set that, caught you off guard? Something that maybe got you nervous at first, but looking back, you're pretty proud that you managed to handle that.
That's a really good question. I think, I mean, I was on my first day actually shooting. I remember her walking in, and there were so many people, and especially in the house, because I guess when you're shooting in a house, there's not that much room. The house wasn't huge. And so I think that was like a little overwhelming at first. And so we went upstairs and we shot the scene in the bedroom with Derek when I'm just, I take his remote, all that. Um, but I think after getting more used to, being on set and meeting more of like the meeting with the director, who's so nice, Frank Darabont, who shot the episodes I was in, but also just meeting with different like parts of the cast and the crew, really helped me feel like a little less nervous because it truly was like a set I've never seen before. It was so many people and so many different cameras, so many different jobs that I didn't even know existed, honestly.
What was the total amount of days that you were able to film for Stranger Things? Because you were also in the scene, I guess the hallucination scene of Derek where you and the family were, kind of dead.
Yeah, I believe. So I started, I think it was the beginning of 2024, when I was told I booked the show. And then I think I went up there for a week to do fittings and all that. And I think I was supposed to shoot a scene, but then it got delayed. So then I went back. So I was there for a week, but I wasn't shooting yet. Then I came back for 2 or 3 weeks, where I did a lot of the shooting. I would say it probably took only about like five or so actual days of shooting, and the rest of the time was spent, fitting, school, all that. But yeah, I think in total, and then I went back actually for a day a month later to do that scene, where we're dead.
So before you were part of Stranger Things, you watched it as a fan.
Yes.
But did becoming part of the show take away any of the magic for you, or did it add a new kind of magic you didn't expect?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I think that it probably, I think, added a little magic because I think kind of, meeting the people that I've watched on screen and getting to work with some of them, and also just seeing how, in depth all of it is to make all these different scenes and how long it takes and, the reality behind it. I think when I was watching, I was almost more appreciative of the acting and all the intricate like details. So I think it kind of added a new cool layer to watching.
I mean, you'll always be part of the legacy of a show like Stranger Things. I mean, when you look back on this years from now, what do you hope you remember most about being on set during your first big role?
I think probably just to really remember how excited I was, not just to be there because it was a huge show, but also just really how excited I was to do the acting part of it and to really, I really enjoyed the script. I really enjoyed Tina's character, and I loved getting into, costume and to really, get into her character. So I think that would probably be really important for me to remember a few years from now, when I'm thinking about not just the reaction of the show, but really how joyful it was to just play Tina and to be on set, trying on her costumes, all of that.
After that iconic scene, we don't really know, the future of Tina and her character.
Yeah.
If you could decide for yourself what her future would be, like maybe years down the line, would she still be in Hawkins? Have you ever, thought of that for yourself since you played her? Do you think she would ever forgive Erica for what she did that night.
Even though there's definitely that, kind of petty side to Tina, there's also a lot of love, and I think she really does love all her friends. She loves her brother, she loves her parents at the end of the day. So I think eventually she would probably end up forgiving Erica. And I think that they could kind of be, this like really cool duo because I think they both have a lot of sass, and I would, I love to I feel like in a lot of friendships, it's really fun when you can, kind of be a little mean to each other and then move on. So even though what Erica did was very harsh, I think eventually after a little while, she could maybe forgive it. Maybe if she was explained to it, like explain the whole situation by Derek. Um, but I think down the line, I think she would just honestly be a very loyal friend to everyone in her life, a loyal sister. And I think she would, continue with high school in Hawkins, and then from there, maybe move to somewhere. I could see her in like California or like, somewhere that's like very cool. Maybe New York, honestly.
So you just had a birthday recently, right?
Yes, I did.
So you're around 17,
Yeah.
still young, but you have experienced something that a lot of young actors would, dream about. If you were able to tell a young actress who watched you and they said, oh my God, I want to do exactly what she's doing. I want to be an actress too. What do you think you learned from the Stranger Things set that you want to impart on these younger actors that they may not have learned maybe in acting school? Something that experience was the teacher.
To really pursue acting, but to really think about the reasons why you want to do it. If you're seeing all these people you look up to, then that's great. But, what's the reason behind it? Because for me, at least, I know it's because I'm going to continue to do acting because I truly do love it and I have such a passion for it. So I know a lot of people, they maybe want to try acting because, oh, I want to be in Stranger Things. But at the end of the day, if you're working as an actress or an actor, that's really all that matters, as long as you enjoy it still. So I think definitely pursue it. I think I would have told my younger self to, well, actually, I think my younger self could tell me a little bit to really, think about how much I enjoy acting truly and to never let any surrounding noise kind of get to you or even influence you in any way, just to really think about what your interests are and to follow those.
Awesome. That's it, Caroline. You've survived the upside down of Once and Always a Fanboy.
Yay.
But before we close this portal, do you have any final words for the new supporters who have discovered you through Stranger Things?
I want to thank everyone because everyone's been super, super nice, truly, and it means the world to me. And I'm so excited to be, venturing out into the Stranger Things universe with all these new fans. So thank you for all the love. So I really do appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caroline. I had so much fun. What a great way to start my year on this show with you. Just getting to even just geek out on this show that we both love.
Yes, truly.
The fact that you were a part of one of the more iconic scenes of the whole series, I'm sure. Your holiday season was pretty awesome with all the love that you've received. So congratulations on that. Well deserved.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was so nice to speak to you.